let's get started. So welcome to the camp, and then this is a partner exclusive training. And then today's training is going to be around how you can generate quality leads via inbound marketing. So we're going to talk a little bit about, okay, okay, perfect. So we're going to be talking about the best practices of generating inbound leads and all that. And I'm just going to introduce today's panel. So the voice that you're hearing right now, it's me, Ambi Murthy. I had the partner acquisition at Zoho. And if you're wondering why a partner acquisition guy is talking about inbound lead generation, in my previous life, I was a marketer that worked with product teams at Zoho, and then also previously in a startup. So I pretty much have marketing in my blood. And then on the chat today, on the chat channel today, whenever questions come in, so we also have Pooja who's handling the chat. So keep your questions coming on the GoToWebinar chat box, and then we'll keep taking the questions as we keep progressing. Okay. Now, before I get started with the actual webinar, I do have a little bit of housekeeping notes to share with you today. So the housekeeping notes are pretty simple and straightforward. So we're going to be talking a little bit about what is inbound, okay, and then what are the best practices of inbound marketing, and then we're going to be talking about how is inbound marketing better than outbound marketing, and how inbound marketing can get a lot of leads to your business, and then the meat of the webinar is primarily going to be about how inbound marketing techniques that you can use to go ahead and increase leads into your marketing funnel. And then some of the techniques which I will be sharing today, there are two exclusive things about it. So we have kind of tailored the content around the partner engagement and then building a successful CRM practice. And some of these techniques are which we have some of the techniques that we have are which we have used internally, and then we have found great success. Okay, so and then we also have a Q&A session, and then we have a kind of like a audio Q&A session towards the end, but you do not have to wait for the audio Q&A session to start. You can go ahead and then keep your questions coming right throughout the webinar. So do not wait for, and then I'll go ahead and then answer them, or Pooja will be answering them over the chat. Okay, perfect. And we also have Zoho Inspire on Twitter today. So if you have any interesting takeaways or any interesting quotes that you hear from this webinar or any interesting things that you learned today, so use the hashtag Zoho Inspire, and then put out the tweets on Twitter, and then it will be really interesting as a community that we'll be able to learn. And then since you are sharing, and then it'll be really nice to know your feedback and all that. So the hashtag is Zoho Inspire on Twitter, and then put out your tweets in there. So before I start, and then this has been kind of the theme of this whole thing. Right, so all the previous CRM webinars that we did, we started with a quote from a famous personality around the globe, and today we want to start. One of my favorite quotes is about Steve Jobs. So it's pretty much up there, and then you can read it. And then so it is about how you should understand your customer, and then work with them, and then you should actually tell them, and then what they would actually want to understand about your product, and then understand about your service. So one of the key ways to achieve this effect is to content. And then today we're going to be talking a lot about content. So let's start with this. So let me set the stage a little bit by asking, what is inbound marketing? I'm pretty sure there are plenty of experts on call today, but at the same time, I just want to go ahead and then say that in a nutshell, it is more about the pull effect of marketing. So when we say pull effect, so when you put outbound and inbound in a very on a side-by-side comparison, so outbound will be more about the kind of email marketing that you do, phone calls that you do, ads that you put out, anything that has got push, where you're actually pushing the product or service. It is outbound. Rather, anything that is bringing a customer to your doorstep is the pull strategy, and then it works really well. Now, so why should you adopt the pull strategy instead of the push strategy, which is inbound. So which is very, very simple. So we have stats where we have found that so inbound leads actually convert 31% more than the outbound leads. So it is you have to kind of like put in less effort, but at the same time reap more rewards in terms of when you say 31% convert more than outbound leads. And then we also have another cool stat that's coming up. And then, so there are like multiple inbound marketing tactics, which we will be discussing right now. And then there are outbound marketing tactics, so which is basically email marketing and then appointment setting and then ads that you put out and all that. So the inbound marketing actually generates 54% more leads. So if you spend 3 hours on inbound marketing and also 3 hours on outbound marketing, your successes are higher when it comes to inbound marketing. So you as partners, when you bring more leads to your business to sell your implementation service, to sell or reselling, so you should make sure that you should concentrate a lot on inbound marketing. Okay. Now, what is the primary difference between inbound and outbound marketing? So even though I have also put out like a complete tabular column. So it all boils down to one thing, which I would call is intent. For example, you could say that today is Valentine's Day, and then so I'm pretty sure that people are searching for gifts for their loved ones and all that. And let's assume that your dear one is gaming, is kind of someone who likes to who does Xbox, PS4, PlayStation, and all that. Now, if you say, let's say that PlayStation games in Pleasanton. So you just put in your location and then what you're searching for, and then suddenly you could kind of get a list of put this out in Google, and then you start getting a list of ads that shows the GameStop places in Pleasanton, San Jose, Milpitas, and all those places. But at the same time, you can also say that most ads are very contextual. So the idea is the person who is searching, she or he already has the intent to buy from you or from the business. So, and content is a vehicle that you put in front of the person. So people click on the ad, land on the landing page or the blog, and then they look at information. And if they like it, they sign up or buy the product. So the primary reason why inbound leads convert better than outbound leads is where on the outbound front, you're trying to push something. Here, there's already intent to buy. So that is the key. So that's the reason why you should concentrate more on inbound leads. Okay, so this is kind of like a quick comparison. So there is pull in inbound, in outbound there is push. And then the inbound folks try to try to write about consumer needs, where it is more about on the outbound side of the product which you want to sell. So one rule of the thumb which we usually use in content marketing, and then especially in inbound, is that we try to give something for free which the customer or the prospect can use without actually purchasing your product or service. So let's take an example when it comes to CRM consulting. So in CRM consulting, you can say that what are 7 ways in which a manufacturing company increase sales productivity by implementing Zoho CRM or any CRM of their choice. So when you put this thing out, you're actually selling your service, but that is just an undercurrent. But you're actually kind of like going ahead and then talking about what was the process, how did we implement it, what are the things that you study, how the pilot worked out. So you're kind of like putting out a huge idea in front of them and then saying, so hey, we did this for a similar company like you, and then how about you try this thing for yourself? So that is the underlying thing. Even though there is a kind of like a very plug in the end, but at the same time, process is what it gets people talking about the product or service. So that's pretty much about what I would call the difference between inbound and the outbound. And then there's only one what I would call like a very striking similarity. So the distribution happens on social blogs and magazines and TVs, influencer marketing, and the outbound also happens primarily on display ads, telemarketer scripts, TV ads, and all that stuff. Okay. Now, so I just want to quickly take a minute, and then I also want to emphasize on, so why to sell better? Why to sell better that you would need better content. So people sometimes think about selling as pitching to people, picking up the phone and talking to them and all that stuff. Yes, this selling is pretty much an important. All this is pretty much important part of the whole mix. But at the same time, what's hello, Ken. Someone just has pinged me saying that the audio is kind of breaking up. Can everybody hear me okay? Hello? Can everybody hear me okay? Can you confirm? I just want to make sure that everybody can hear me okay. Okay. I think there are selective places where we are experiencing an audio issue. I think it's primarily because of the issues in GoToWebinar's audio system, because a lot of people are saying they can hear me perfectly. Okay, I'm really sorry about the people who are experiencing an audio issue. I'm sorry about that. Okay, coming back to the importance of content for sales. So selling is not just picking up the phone and then doing amazing demos and all that stuff, or visiting the prospect and then talking to them. But at the same time, selling is also a lot about how you prep how you prep the audience in terms of how you prep the audience in terms of the content that you put in front of them. Okay, now so let's see that we did kind of like a very small study and then put this thing out, and then so the best in class salespeople equip themselves with the best kind of content. So let's look at how content influences them at the different places. So let's say that when you start putting content out, so first let's say that I just want to look at this, take a quick look at the stats. So 69%, 67, 67, 52, and 48. So when it's a 69% of the people used content to align the interest of the customer and the product they are selling. And then 67 to create buyer persona, 67 again to industry-wise targets. And then let's say that if you are doing a CRM consulting, and then you just do not just put out a generic landing page. You also put out a landing page for CRM consulting for manufacturing businesses, CRM consulting for so there you go. And also make sure that your content strategy is aligned with a really good strategy. We'll be talking about all of it in a minute. So let's look at the inbound marketing funnel. Now, just pay close attention to this thing. So I'm just going to be talking about, if you just take the whole customer journey. So let's take an example of a firm which you would want, a CRM consulting firm or an implementation firm. So let's look at how people would evaluate your service as complete strangers, and then what are the things that you will do to convert them into visitors, leads, customers, and promoters towards the end. So when you're attracting customers, especially via inbound, and then SEO is a very important strategy, writing blogs, social medias, having a really good website. Not only having a really good website, this is the most important thing, because Google places a lot of value on mobile optimized websites, because we could see that the mobile traffic is kind of like really skyrocketing right now. And then once people come in as visitors, you could also see that there is call to action via forms, and there is also the pages are optimized to convert via multiple CDAs. Now, once you convert them into visitors and leads, the next thing to do is convert the leads into customers. So because you can send them to email campaigns, then even those email campaigns can sort of personalize the first name, so that the idea of completely changing the email format based on who is reading the email and all that. So personalization is also one of the key things that ensures that you get really good conversion from leads to customers. And then the final one is promoters. So promoters promoters are people who would actually go ahead and then promote your business via word of mouth, basically advocates for your business. So think of it in such a way that where you would go ahead and then, so you could say that the best businesses keep coming from referral customers, people who are people who have been really happy customers, and then so what they want to do is they also want other people to have very similar implementation, other businesses to have similar CRM implementation. So keep your existing customers happy, and then they end up giving you a lot of referral business. Okay, and so this is step one. So how will you attract strangers and then turn them into website visitors? Now, I want to take a quick minute and then talk about developing buyer personas. So buyer personas is basically the demographics of how a really successful customer looks for your CRM consulting business. So a quick way to do it is without doing much taking into account the external factors that influence the product. So let's say that in the last 5 years, you have about like 100 CRM implementations, right? So just take email IDs of every single CRM company that you implemented a CRM, and then into the domains of every single implementation that you have done. Visit their website and then try to figure out which company is from. And then at the end of it, you will come up with the first set of personas. So out of the 100, you will find 50 of them are from computer software industry. Let's say the 30 of them are from manufacturing. And then I would say the next 10 would be insurance, and the next 10 would be from financial service, and the next 10 would be from travel and tourism, right? Now you have kind of like a pie chart in front of you that says that, okay, this is the industry analysis for the first, this is the first step, saying that this is the industry analysis of every single customer that I have done a CRM implementation in the past 5 years. Okay, now you quickly move back to the list again, and then look the titles of every single person that who you have worked with. Okay, for example, you can say John Snow and then CEO Acme Corp, and then again you could say that, okay, and then you can also look at the titles coming in from different industries, across all the customers that you have sold. So the first set you have the industries, and the second set you have the titles, and then you can also kind of do a breakup and then do a breakup of the analysis of the whole thing, and then say, so we have 30% are C-level folks, 40% are VP level folks, and the rest 30% are director and managing partner level folks. So that kind of gives you the demographics of the audience who you are trying to sell and which industry they are from. So you have these two pieces of information. You can also further drill down via location and then other demographics also. But this is the basic buyer persona that you need to build. Now, once you have this in place, and then you should go ahead and then start creating content that would be really relevant to the industry, and then it will be really relevant to the buyer persona. So when you're talking to a C-level executive, what you would teach to him would be completely different from someone who's a sales manager right now. So the sales manager, when he's implementing a CRM, he would think about processes, he would think about the flows and all that stuff. But the CEO might want to look only at really good granular reports. So how you on who you're team is one of the keys in creating successful content. So that is step one. So step two is converting them website visitors into customers. So there is this concept, something called gated content. So let's say that I'm going to give you an example here right now. So you all know that Zoho is kind of making a huge push this year when it comes to it. In fact, it's been making it for a couple of years. And then it is making a huge push towards educational content and all that stuff. Yes, we've been making it. But at the same time, you should also understand that we are also we are not just a SaaS company right now. We are a digital transformation company, and all our partners are digital transformation enablers. So what does that mean? So you have the SaaS, so previously on-premise used to be the holy grail software. But right now, the businesses are moving to the cloud, and there is this really, really huge, massive opportunity in the cloud. Now, why So here's a really nice chance for you to create good educational content around this thing. So let's say that you have good educational content around, let's say, the state of the SaaS, and then how businesses are moving to the cloud report for 2018. And then if you put the state of SaaS report for 2018 out, and then for an exchange of an email ID, you let people access the white paper or the ebook, and then there's a really good collection of email IDs that you can have, which then you can reach them out. So initially, you engage them with different pieces of content, gated or non-gated via blogs and ebooks, and then you can again reach out to them via email and then talk about your product or service that you're trying to pitch to them. Okay, so that is step 2. And step 3 is actually nurturing every single lead that comes in. So you can do it via drip email campaigns, you can do it via display ads, but make sure that every single lead is followed up, and then you also personalize them based on the industry and the source. So I want to take a quick minute and then talk about why the importance of personalization in terms of industry is really, really important. So we can also look into this and then say, so when a certain lead comes in, and then you can say that, okay, so I'm going to say that we have the specific lead that came in via Google. We had the specific lead that came in via social media. So we can keep looking at the different sources and then engage them based on the source which they come in. So also step 3 is pretty important. And then there is nothing gets you more business like word of the mouth, right? So make sure that you go ahead and then personalize your content, and then not only you deliver them, but at the same time, you should also look at how you can create content that will go ahead and then convert your existing customers into people who promote your brand or your service. So think of it in such a way how you can incentivize them, and kind of like, let's say that if you did an amazing CRM implementation, and then you call that customer in for a guest post in your blog post, so that let's say that like their business to your community, where if they're offering something of value or service, which product or service might be valuable to your community of audience. So give them the exposure, and then they will in turn will promote your services to their audience. So it's a win-win. So this time we went a step further and then created an inbound marketing toolkit for CRM consultants. So what we have in here is pretty interesting and straightforward. So this is a quick checklist of 9 items which you need to look into to have a go ahead and then have a really successful CRM inbound marketing strategy for CRM consulting. Okay, so the first and the foremost is the website design and layout. Okay, so we have talked enough about this thing. So where you have a professional website, and then you back it up with really, really nice customer quotes and all that stuff. And then because the website is the place where is the inbound marketing magnet, that is the centerpiece of the whole inbound marketing thing. So just make sure that you go ahead and then have a really good professionally designed website, and then you can also have live chat to engage them and all that stuff, and you have a good design and amazing content. So that is the first step. That's pretty much forgiven. So, and then again, quality content. And then you invest a lot of money and time in creating quality content, but at the same time, you should understand that when you say content marketing, and then which is basically content marketing, which is blogs, and then white papers, and all the other techniques that you use to generate that is used to generate a lot of traffic. So that is amazing quality content that which you create, and at the same time, we did a study which showed that it faster, more 60% because of the amount of pull we are making the content. And like I mentioned to you earlier, team wraps is more. Make sure that you create really good content, and then you also understand instead of talking about the product the customer. You're there. For example, I'm going to give you the examples of content which you can create. Okay, so we can quickly mention the kind of content that you as partners can create that would question yourself as reposition yourself. So the golden rule is there are only two golden rules. So do not write about the service you're offering, the implementation you're offering, or how awesome the job, how quickly you get the job. But write about these things. For example, you would be amazed to know there are a lot of customers who still not understand the difference between a CRM and the ERP. So write about it. Write a blog about 5 ways in CRM and ERP are different. Then listicles are a really fun and easy way. And then it is a proven thing that listicle is something that next to 5 ways that starts with a number is a listicle. Okay, so think of it in such a way: 7 ways in which CRM can transform your business. That's a really good content idea, right? So just go ahead and then let me know if you also have any content ideas in the chat. While we are speaking about this thing, and then you can also talk about 7 examples on how CRM dashboards can increase sales productivity. And then you can also look at 7 ways in which sales pipeline management can be done better with CRM. So you can also look at, now that AI and ML is coming into the picture, you can also talk about 10 ways in which CRM data can actually predict sales and then pipeline. So these are some of the ideas which I'm giving out. It can be in blog, it can be in ebook, but the idea is when people are actually searching to solve a problem, you come across as an expert who is trying to consult a solution rather than trying to sell them CRM. Selling them the CRM is the ultimate goal, but building the trust and positioning yourself as the expert is the key. And then that is where you should concentrate on, and the content is the first step that will help you in getting to be an expert. So moving forward, so I'm just going to say why blogging is very, very important. Okay, now on a worldwide scale, you could see that 77% of the total internet usage is dedicated to social media and blogs. Okay, so which is also pretty interesting, because you look at all the information and then you look at, so people like to, so previously people used to get, whenever they wanted the news, they would go to a newspaper, a magazine, try to read, go to a different, but right now you can Google up information, or you can also look at the different social media handles that you follow for a page. And then blogging also tells you that, so the more you blog, the better leads that you get. And then there's also like a fun and easy way where you're building a virtual bridge with your customer. I'll tell you why. So you can. So let's take a very complex decision-making thing, like how somebody. So you can write about the decision-making process of selecting the right CRM for your business. Okay, that is the straightforward way, which should be very cool. But the push would be is, let's say that for a local bakery, bakery chain of bakeries, you went ahead and then implemented CRM systems in all their 50 locations. Now, a fun thing would be is to bring in the team of their VP, their CEO, or someone in the marketing team that worked really close with you during the implementation, and do a very small video. And then it doesn't have to be like super professional, but it has to be in such a way that it's fun and engaging. And then put this video out in the form of a video, and then include a blog also in it. So that is very less rigid, but at the same time, it makes an instant connection. Plus, the more fresh your content, Google actually favors those websites that put out fresh content on a weekly and monthly basis. So every week, if you put out one blog, there is a higher chance that your website might come up in the first 10 results in page number 1 in Google. And the numbers also say the same thing. So companies that blog regularly have a 126% more leads versus companies who do not blog regularly. So just go ahead and then make sure that you blog regularly. And some of the other insights are pretty interesting. Companies who blogged regularly, they had a 55% more website visitors. And then why this backlinks is such an important thing in SEO. So funny little story. So you know that when Larry Page and Sergey Brin, they started Google, they actually did not start with the name Google. They were just working on algorithm that said it was called backrub. So the backrub algorithm was based on the fact that it ranks pages, and then what it does is based on the number of backlinks a page receives. So why blogging and backlink? How is it connected? Very simple. So ideally, any customer or anybody who's writing about an interesting topic, they do secondary research about authors who have written about it. So let's take implementing a CRM. And then if somebody is writing about it, they want to look at what is the previous research that has been done. And obviously, when you're putting out information about dashboards, territory management, the artificial intelligence inside CRM, campaigns, and all that stuff, so what you do is you go ahead and then take that. You're putting out blogs, and people are finding that information interesting. And what they end up doing is when they're writing about it or they're referencing to customers, they end up linking it back to the original article. So the more the number of backlinks that you get, higher the number of points that you get in SEO, and then move up your ranking. And then so make sure that better backlinks gives you better traffic. And now, by blogging, what happens is that that is done. Now moving on to SEO. Now SEO is basically when people talk about. So let's say that let's take a very it is like making a match between the kind of information that people are searching and what the page that comes up in a result. So let's assume that CRM implementers in Boston, and then you put out a page that talks about your success stories of implementing CRMs in Boston, and then you optimize the page for keywords like CRM implementation of a successful CRM, and all the different combinations of the keyword. And then what happens is that, and then that page shows up, and then it organically drives 70% more traffic to your website. So the idea is figure out what are the traffic or the key primary keywords that you want to go ahead and then optimize your website for, but do not optimize for bots. Okay, do not optimize for search engine. Go with the natural flow, but at the same time, just make sure that it is searchable and indexable. So higher ranking and then higher traffic. So that is how search engine optimization work. And make sure that you also follow the golden standards that are set by search engines. So like page title, URL structure, header, image, tags, and body copy. We do have a very technical webinar that's coming up from a month from now about how to optimize your pages, how to optimize your title, how to optimize your URL structure. Everything is coming at a later point of time, but think of it as a beginner. Now, so this is pretty interesting, webinars. So webinars have always been one of my really interesting ways to go ahead and then engage audience. I'll tell you why. So if it is if this is this is a standing example of how webinars actually influence really good content and then prospect engagement. So we sent out invites, and then we invited everyone for a webinar, and then so we are now able to have a conversation with a little bit of audio issues. Now it's all sorted out, okay? But at the same time, you should basically look at the number of leads coming in. If the number of leads that you come in for your consulting practice is somewhere around, let's say, that 10 leads, and then I'm pretty sure that you can pick up the phone and then reach out to them one-on-one via email or phone. It's fine. But at the same time, when you have a large number of leads, like 100 leads coming in or 50 leads coming in, then you can still call them, still email them, but at the same time, invite them for a weekly webinar. You'll be surprised by the amount of time that how engaged they are in. And we do have the stats for that. Do you know why? Because when people are committing to you for a webinar, they're actually giving 60 minutes of their time, just like you. You gave 60 minutes to me today. So here is a chance for me to make an impact on the way how you run your business and teach you something really new from the learnings which you have got. So go ahead and then try to optimize the same for your business, but at the same time, just make sure that you really choose a really good topic that's engaging, and then bring in a really good speaker. It can be yourself, or you can also bring in a subject matter expert on the topic which you're putting out. So, and then we could see that any lead that comes from a webinar that has got a really high conversion ratio, so that's basically somewhere between 20 to 40%. So go ahead and then have a look at this. Webinar is also a pretty interesting tactic which you can employ somewhere at the bottom of the funnel, but at the same time, it's a really amazing engagement tactic. Okay, and then I'm pretty sure that so everybody has been using social media to go ahead and then distribute their content. I'm just going to go to this specific slide when it comes to social media. So I'm just going to leave it up there for a quick minute. and then look at the different social media that are very popular. I picked the top 6. So you could see that on Pinterest, there are 150 million active users. On Twitter, 328 million active users. Facebook, 2 billion active users. Snapchat, 300 million. And then on LinkedIn, 106 million. Okay. So why? So just go back to the initial analysis that you did when it comes to forming demographic of your audience, right? So once you have formed the demographics of your audience, so which is basically the title, the location, the industry, and all that, now here is a chance for you to replicate that same effect. You have a cohort of the demographics of the audience, of the typical people who would buy from you. Now go ahead and then find similar people. And then there you go. Let's say that VP of marketing in manufacturing or in marketing and advertising or computer software, and then people who are looking out for a CRM. So there you go. So you can find such kind of people on LinkedIn. And the way you're going to reach them is not via ads, but put out really good engaging content like an ebook or a blog post that talks about how the computer software company in Greater Philadelphia went ahead and then increased their conversions by 10x. So that is a really good story to tell. So think of all the things, all the nice stories that sales stories that you can give them. So that is the key pull when it comes to when it comes to more and more creating more and more engaging content. Okay. Now that being said, I'm going to quickly move on to the next one. And then, so the reason why you would want to do videos is something that's pretty interesting, because 70%, so in fact, even as, so videos are a key part. That's the reason why we are even recording this webinar. Yes, and we also have this presentation, which will give it to you for circulation. So 70% of us are visual learners, and then you could see that. And then, so when it comes to video for CRM consulting marketing, so the best thing to do would be is, so let's say that you make a video about how you would go ahead and then create. Let's say that you did an amazing CRM implementation for a certain company, and then what do you want to do? You would quickly go ahead and then say, okay, so bring in their folks, do a small video about how was the challenge, what are the challenges of the process that you tackled when you came in as a consultant? How long did you go ahead and then did you take to make a pilot, and how successful was the pilot, and what was the understanding initially, and then what are the different things? What are the different challenges that you faced during the building a process for let's say that if there's an approval process for a quote inside CRM, and which feature did you use? Blueprint is one such feature that you can use. So bring it all in a video, make it very snackable, and make sure that you can, even if it's a very lengthy content, you can cut it down to 2 minutes, and then you can still make it really, really good. So it is informational, it's snackable, and easy to distribute, and then you could see that it's actually 150%, 57% increase in the organic traffic, that once you put out videos, and you can use them as ads on LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook on your company page, and then just make sure that it is short, and then they're only 2 minutes long. Okay. And then, so some stats over here is that, so most SMBs use videos, and then 73% of marketers actually say that after looking at a video, the brand affinity actually increases. So go ahead and then use them well. And then 37% of the marketers say that looking at the video, and then the click-through rate for an ad actually increases. So 27% increase. And then people, when they use the actual logo, just like we use the Zoho logo, so there is 9% increase in the brand recollection, and then 49% increase in the revenue year on year by using video for marketing. So video, use it really well. In fact, you can also use video to go ahead and then talk about your company culture. So when you talk about company culture, what is very interesting is that you can talk about what is it about fun, why they should implement your company as the CRM implementation person or a business transformation enabler. So think of all the different ways in which you can actually create cool content, and then show the humor side of the business too, and then people would actually appreciate it. And then exclusive landing pages. So think of it in such a way that you have, so the CRM as a product itself, how it is evolving. So previously, there used to be no CRM platform. Now we have a CRM platform that allows folks to build verticals or CRM verticals on the Zoho CRM platform. Now, you should apply the same to inbound marketing also. So having a general CRM page is fine, but at the same time, think of if you could have how to implement a CRM for a manufacturing company, how to implement a CRM for a computer software company. The same you can say for marketing and advertising company, and then information and technology company, financial services company, and then legal, real estate. So think of it about implementation pages for different industries, and that in fact is the key for you to go ahead and then say you can appeal to a broader audience, and it can increase your engagement by 70%. So think of really good landing pages or blog posts that talks about CRM implementation across multiple industries. So if you're asking, so what are some of the inbound marketing tools from Zoho? We should have give you that, right? So we have Zoho Sales IQ, which is basically on the top of the funnel, converts leads into customers, and then it has got lead scoring, and then the same applies for CRM also. And then there is also workflows that get triggered based on the website activity. Campaigns has this ability to send emails, drip campaigns. The newest addition is Page Sense, that heat maps, that has got heat maps, and it has also got amazing ways in which you could go ahead and then look at which part of the content has been most engaging to the audience. And then we also have Zoho Social. So Zoho Social is also a really cool tool. And then we also have Zoho Sites that really helps in creating all these amazing landing pages that you would want to put out for your business. And then Survey is the tool that you would use initially to go ahead and then do all the analysis, finding out matching buyer personas, creating those cohorts of buyer personas and all that stuff. So we do have this suite, and then which you can also use this personally to push this presentation, to do the analysis, and then make sure that you go ahead and then work with this. Okay. Now, before we start the Q&A session, I just want you to leave with a couple of numbers. So, what are the different vehicles of inbound marketing that you can use? So, blogs is one. Social media marketing is one, by building a really huge audience. And then SEO is where you optimize your website for all the traffic. And then if you go to the outbound, which is direct mail, telemarketing, paid search, and trade shows, and then the lead gen cost is very low when it compared. So it costs 52% less on all these places, and then the more and more outbound you go, the cost increases. So the outbound marketing costs more. So if you look at the trade shows, if you look at the direct mail, telemarketing, PPC, and all that, it keeps going even more and more. And then in 2018, it has in fact increased 10x of what you see in the screen. And then you can also look at how SEO, social media, and blogs, but in fact, the price is lower, but at the same time, the quality of the lead that's coming in is really high. So this slide that you see on screen is going to be the biggest. It is going to be the biggest takeaway for you. Okay. So what are the different inbound marketing techniques that you can use for your business? The first is SEO, and then that has got a 15% closure rate of converting leads into customers. So that's really good, right? And then direct traffic. So what is direct traffic? So let's say that you put out a blog that talks about the overall state of SaaS in business in 2018. People read the report, and then you can put out a very small bar on the top that says that powered by Acme CRM implementers. So what people would do is they would take Acme CRM implementers, put it in a search engine, search for you, and then they will come to your website. So that is direct traffic. So where they're actually showing interest because of the content that you created. So referrals are something that was really, which we talked about. The existing customers are your biggest promoters of your business. So use them really well. So followed by paid social media and outbound. So you look at 15% closure rate on from leads to customers, converting into sales on SEO and direct traffic, use it really well. 9% conversion on referrals, 7% on the paid search, 4% on social media. And look at outbound. It's in fact the lowest. So the more the effort that you keep putting on outbound, you could see that your sales efforts keeps increasing more and more, but the closure rate is really low. But engage them with content, use the right techniques on drip, you will go ahead and then have a really winning inbound marketing strategy. So the bottom line is pretty simple. So inbound marketing is your ticket to thought leadership fame. We talked about this thing earlier, where we kind of like went ahead and then said, every single person we want to position in our partner network, we want to position them as thought leaders, right? So the thought leadership fame is is a way in which, so instead of you being perceived as implementers and then people who, so instead of implementers of just the CRM or people who are selling a service, but think of it, you have the content in video, blogs, and ebook, and you position yourself as a really good, as a thought leader, and then you kind of tie it back to the Steve Jobs quote. Now, you are the person who is shaping the way in which a customer thinks, and not only that, you're using the right kind of tools to help them achieve their goals. The idea is to not be a CRM implementation service, but a thought leader who has a CRM business. So that's the way we would put it. And thank you. So this is Q&A time. So I also want to quickly apologize for a bunch of hiccups in the time when we had this issue of audio. So this is the first time something like this has happened. I'm really sorry about it, but we'll try to bring this down. So before we go to the Q&A session about the inbound marketing strategies, I just want to have this quick poll. So can you please rate this webinar? And I know that there is some audio issues, but still, if you like the overall content of what we gave you today, so can you please rate it on a scale of 1 to 5? So 1 being the lowest and 5 being the highest. So 5 would be excellent, 4 would be good, 3 would be average, 2 would be bad, and then 1 would be poor. So on this overall scale, please go ahead and then, based on the content, did you find it informative? Did you expect something and then come into the webinar, and then did you get it? So I just want to be very, very sure that, so we've been putting a lot of effort into giving you this content, giving you this information in terms of how we structure this thing. So I just want to make sure that we give you the right kind of information. Did you get what you came in for? Did you get the technique? Did you get the idea? And like we told you, we are making this exclusively only for partners and not bringing in customers. So go ahead. Go ahead and then let me know that what do you think about the webinar, the overall content of it. So did you get new marketing ideas, inbound marketing ideas out of it? And then there is going to be a deep dive session also somewhere later in the overall thing. So I'm going to go ahead and then close the poll in 10 seconds. So I'm going to give you 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Okay. So I think pretty much okay. So I'm going to hope everybody has answered it. I'm going to close the poll and share the results with you. There you go. Okay. Thank you so much. So I think thanks for everyone who answered the poll. And then what I'm going to do is, so let's start with Q&A. Okay. So I'm just So I'm going to what are the questions? So I have the first question, which is coming in from. Let me just. Okay. As you know, that's coming in from Bob. Zoho has CRM Plus and 1. Do you have any metric that relates to this function? You spoke on which solution is needed. In other words, can you describe with CRM? this is Bob, this is a really nice content idea. We have the people who can work on this thing. So I'm just going to make a quick note of this thing and then pass it on to the content team. And then in fact, we can in fact say which this is an amazing content idea. In fact, I'm going to ask one of the marketing people to reach out to you and then see how we can collaborate on this thing. Thank you so much, Bob. Max says, thank you so much for your time. Thank you. And then Maximilian says that, okay, so I really want to apologize to him. Looks like I gave him a really tough time on the audio front, but at the same time, I think the audio issue has been, everybody has been saying, yes, we can hear you loud and clear. Probably, is it also an issue? Can you also check if there's something up on your front? Because you're the only person who has been having this issue. I'm pretty sure that there's also a fault on my side, but just make sure that it could also be something that's happening on your end also. I'm really sorry about this. Okay. Bob says, love it. Okay, amazing. So any other questions about inbound marketing techniques that I can help you with? We still have 4 minutes. And then any other questions? Hopefully, do you have any comment about any specific comment about the overall webinar delivery on the style? So did you get whatever information that you wanted, whatever that you came in for? So the idea was to give you those content marketing ideas so that you will be able to go ahead and then okay. So Craig said, I had audio shift throughout the entire session, not so bad as not to get the gift. Okay. I'm going to really look into this thing because last time we were connecting via internet, and then probably I thought that might be an issue. But today I'm calling in via phone, and then if you're still having this issue, then I need to raise this up with GoToWebinar. So I'll do that. Craig, I'm really sorry. Maximilian, I'm also very sorry about the bad experience that you had. Okay. And will we get a recording of it? Yes. Okay. Amazing. Okay. I will go ahead and then, yes, we do have a recording and we'll post it in the, I'm pretty sure that everybody has in this call has got access to the access to the partner portal. So just watch out for it. The recording of this webinar will be up in the next 3 days. So Craig, yes, I'm sorry, 50% of the webinar was not audible, but we'll be looking into it. Thanks. Earl has got a really good question. Does Zoho have any inbound marketing documentation for the use by partners? Yes, we do. In fact, we do have a really good blog that Zoho has put out. I'm just going to quickly run to my browser so that I can share the blog with you. So let me see. So 10 best ways. Okay. Okay. So I have the link, and then I'm just going to quickly share this with you. Okay. So hopefully you can see my screen now. I just kind of froze it for a minute. Okay, I just shared it to everyone. So Earl, so this is so go ahead and then okay. Okay. So did you get that? So I think Earl asked a question about okay. About what is there a common document? I think that is the document that kind of summarizes whatever we discussed today, and then so that would be really good. Thank you, Craig. Thank you. There is a feedback that I need to slow down a bit. Yes, I know. I usually do that, but today there is so much content. I was excited to give it out. So probably I'll bring even slow down and even a bit more. Right. Thank you so much for the feedback. Yes. Okay. So anything else? I think that's pretty much it. Any other questions about inbound marketing? Okay. So I think that's pretty much it. So it's 10 a.m. Pacific time, and I think it's hard stop for us right now. So everyone, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. And then I really appreciate you coming into the call today and then listening to all the wonderful things that we had to say. So until next time, it's Ambi and team who's signing off here. Much love. Take care. Bye-bye. And then we'll meet you in the next edition. Next edition. Okay. When is the next webinar related to marketing? Oh, just keep, so there's a question from Earl. So we'll share a link with you, just like you got a webinar, an invitation. So we'll keep you posted about it. So it's coming up 3 weeks from now. So it's again about the best practice in marketing. So we'll send we'll go ahead and then send you that information too. You can always check the page zoho.com/partners/webinars, and then you will be able to go ahead and then find out what is the latest information that's happening. Okay. Perfect. Thank you so much. Have a good day. Bye-bye.